When I started my PhD, beta-alanine was a relatively new supplement that I wanted to learn more about. Specifically, who is using it, how are they using it, and what benefits are they getting from using it. I was also interested in the use of beta-alanine in conjunction with a controlled training program, as many of the early beta-alanine studies did not include a training bout alongside supplementation. And from a practical or real-world perspective, I felt this was a missing piece to the beta-alanine puzzle. Because not many athletes take a supplement and not perform in any training, they usually take a supplement in conjunction with a training program. Now, as the majority of my work as a practitioner was in team sports, I had a particular interest in the efficacy of beta-alanine on repeat sprint performance that could translate in some way to team sport performance. I also wanted to examine the factors that potentially influence an athlete's decision to use beta-alanine, particularly around supplement compliance. As multiple daily doses of beta-alanine are needed to increase carnosine levels, I was interested in non-compliance as a factor that may be related to beta-alanine supplementation. Also, poor knowledge of the benefits and correct dosages of beta-alanine may influence an athlete's adherence to taking beta-alanine. So finally, I knew that when doses of 800 milligrams or more have been taken, they are typically associated with paresthesia. I wanted to know if the extent of this paresthesia may also influence compliance to taking the supplement long term, particularly in an elite athlete environment. I attempted to answer some of these questions by completing a series of 5 studies. First, I examined the efficacy of beta-alanine supplementation combined with repeat sprint and sprint interval training on repeat sprint ability and also on high intensity cycling capacity. Then I investigated beta-alanine supplementation use and the level of knowledge among 570 professional football players from rugby league, rugby union, Australian rules football. After that, I examined the compliance levels of beta-alanine supplementation of semi-professional rugby league players across a 4-week period. I also explored the relationship between different beta-alanine doses and body composition and the effect that that had on side effects related to beta-alanine consumption. Finally, I assessed whether the paresthesia experience following an acute beta-alanine supplementation improved high-intensity cycling capacity. So what did I find? I found that sprint and high-intensity training had a greater influence on performance than beta-alanine supplementation. Cycling performance improved both repeated sprint, approximately 5%, and time to exhaustion, approximately 40%, as a result of the sprint and interval training intervention, and this may have outweighed any ergogenic effect of the beta-alanine supplementation. When beta-alanine is supplemented by athletes who engage in repeat sprint and or interval training, the ergogenic potential of beta-alanine may not be as significant as previous research findings may suggest. The take-home message for this, I guess, is that for athletes requiring enhanced buffering capacity for performance, that sprint interval training versus beta-alanine supplementation appears to be the most effective means of eliciting improvements in high-intensity exercise performance. However, not forgetting that some individuals, for example responders, may derive further benefit from beta-alanine supplementation. I also found that greater than 60% of elite football players were not using beta-alanine in accordance with general recommendations, and only 35% of these players were able to correctly identify the potential benefits of beta-alanine and why they might actually be taking the supplement. Compliance in rugby league players over a 28-day period was around about 59%, and it steadily declined over that 4-week period. Finally, side effects, even when supplementing with a slow-release formula, can be varied and dependent on body size, and that's something that we need to consider and monitor long-term, particularly as it may be related to compliance. I feel through my PhD I've added to the body of knowledge relating to beta-alanine supplementation, and I want to thank you for listening, and I hope you learn a thing or two about beta-alanine.